What's going on, dudes and dudettes? Welcome back to the channel. It's been a busy week. I'm pretty exhausted. We're burning the midnight oil here. I've got a lot going on in my studio. I've been getting my entire new rig set up, which means that I've had to go through my old rig, break everything down, pull all the gear out. I've boxed most everything up. It's going to be going on my reverb store very, very soon. And I will put a link to that in a future video if anyone is interested in getting some of that gear. But yeah, I'll show a little time lapse of me breaking the old rig down, all the looming of all the cabling, about 1,000 zip ties cut and collected. It's man, to have it all tidy is critically important to me, to make sure you're not accidentally kicking something or ripping it out and all that stuff. But man, it's a lot of work to do on the front end. It's a lot of work to take it all apart. And I'm waiting on a desk to get here, so I got all the new gear set up, but I decided not to tidy anything up because I'm just gonna have to break it all down hopefully next week or the following week. We're about at the 10-week waiting point on this new desk. I'm so excited for it to get here. Anxious would be an understatement, but we'll be doing an unboxing of that in a future video. But today I want to talk about Patchbays. Patchbays. Why are we talking about Patchbays? Well, we're talking about Patchbays because I've been setting my Patchbays up. And when you go down that rabbit hole, you start doing a lot of research, just making sure you're dotting your I's and crossing your T's, and you know what you're doing, and you don't make any mistakes and destroy your very expensive gear that you just got. And I thought that it might be helpful for you guys to kind of wrap your head around if you're new to Patchbays, or if you're considering a Patchbay, or if you thought, I wonder if it would make sense for me to have a Patchbay. Well, that's what we're here to talk about. And without further ado, let's get into this thing. So, do you need a Patchbay? Need? Need is such a subjective word. We all need a Patchbay. When we're thinking about our home studios, you know, most of us don't think about things like a Patchbay. Patchbays are something you see in big commercial spaces, and they make a lot of sense. They've got a ton of outboard gear, and oftentimes there's consoles, and they're plugging stuff in, plugging stuff out. It seems so official. It seems a little overkill to do within a small space, I'm sure, to a lot of you guys. But think about this. If you are using any analog gear, any outboard gear, and you're having to go plug it in and patch it in, get your signal chain dialed in every time you want to use a different piece of gear, you're not only losing momentum in terms of your creativity, you're creating potential obstacles that you're going to run into. This isn't working, this isn't, and before you know it, you've gone down the rabbit hole and you're 2 hours into trying to figure out why your signal's not coming through, and you've lost all creative momentum. And from my perspective, as a home studio recorder, as a DIY guy, the worst thing that can happen to you in your studio space is to lose creative momentum. We already are at a deficit in terms of how much time we can spend in our creative spaces. I'm sure that most of you guys are really trying to carve out as much time as possible. The last thing you want to be doing is wasting time trying to figure out why your rig's not running like it's supposed to. So the idea is, if all of this gear was always hooked up the right way the first time, or the 30th time, but by the time you start using it, it's hooked up the right way. And all you got to do is just patch in, patch out. It's starting to make more sense, isn't it? And the good news is that you can get decent Patchbays, decent 1/4-inch TRS Patchbays for, you know, a little more than $100 a piece. That's what I'm using. I'm using Samson 48-point 1/4-inch TRS Patchbays, and it really is, it's become a game changer for me, and I want to share that experience with you guys. So think about this. For my guitar players out there, I've got a few pedal boards, but we typically will set our pedal board up with our our favorites right now that we're using, right? If you got a handful of overdrives that you like, maybe you got a fuzz pedal that's really rocking your world. There's a, maybe there's a delay that you can't live without. If you got this other delay that's pretty cool, you love using it for certain stuff, maybe some different reverbs. You got, modulation effects, vibratos, tremolos, envelope filters. Who knows what all kinds of gear you're running. But you can only fit so much of it on your pedal board, and you just take the best of it with you and you go do it. But just imagine if you could have all of that stuff plugged up all the time, and all you had to do to change your signal chain was just to patch it in on a little patch bay that's just sitting to the left of you all the time, or to the right, depending on what hand you are. That's basically how a patch bay works. So this is a patch bay. This is a 48-point quarter-inch TRS patch bay. It's an older patch bay that got on trade. I thought it would be good just to use this as an example so everybody can see and understand how these work. So typically, you're going to have output, input, output on the top, input on the bottom, and there are a couple of different types of patch bays. So you have through patch bays, and this is usually a good use for things like compressors, EQs, those types of things. And what that means is whatever's plugged into this output. So you've got a compressor, the output of it's going to the output here. Whatever's plugged into this is going to be the output there, right? Output, input from each piece of gear. So you could theoretically, have 24 pieces of outboard gear running through this that you could patch in. Would save you from having to go behind your rig, behind your sidecar, behind your desk, and having to manually change your signal chain all the time. To have this right there in front of you makes it very easy. You just take a 1-foot quarter-inch TRS cable and you just patch these things together, out and to in and out. So that's a through patch bay. The next type of patch bay we're going to talk about is a normal patch bay, or a normaled patch bay. And the great thing about the Samson patch bays is they've got a little switch on them. You can actually change the signal flow, how they operate. So where would you use a normaled patch bay instead of a through patch bay? Well, there's a reason that I have 2 patch bays. So the one I'm setting is normal, and what normaled means is by default, whatever goes in the output here sends to the input here, unless it's broken here, right? And so let's think about what would make a lot of sense in terms of that. So you've got analog preamps and you've got an interface, and you need those things to connect, and you want to be able to maybe mix and match those. Maybe you want to be able to plug in a compressor and an EQ through that signal chain when you're recording. This is where you're going to use your normal patch bay, right? So you're going to put, coming into the back of this, all of your outputs, or your inputs rather, from your interface. Let's say for conversation's sake, let's say that you're using an 8-channel XLR output interface. So you're going to go XLR out to your preamps, right? And from your preamps, they need to go somewhere. You need to put them in this system. So what you can do is you can just go out of your interface. Theoretically, we're going to get to that in a minute, because there's another step in this that I've learned. I'm going to share with you guys, and hopefully save you guys some time and some headache sorting some things out. But you would go the 8 channels out into the 8 channels in from the outputs here into your interface, right? And then from your inputs, you're going to go the ends to the ends of all of your preamps. All right. Is it making sense so far? I hope it's making sense. We'll take a look at my rig, and you're going to get to see what a mess it is back here. But I want to talk about a couple other things, because that I think we're explaining this right. I've shot this video a few times, if I'm being honest, so I'm a little We had some technological challenges. I'm a little spent right now. Just bear with me. All right, so on one of them, you're gonna have all your EQs, your compressors. Maybe you've got some outboard reverbs and delays. They're all gonna be set up through your through Patchbay. And then you're gonna have a normal Patchbay, which is going to connect all of your preamps and your interface to each other. And that way you can patch in between them, right? Where this becomes an issue for a lot of us is there's one other consideration. How do you get your mic lines in? If your interface is going to the Patchbay and the Patchbay is going to the preamps, how's the microphone play into this? It's a really good question. It's a question the fine folks at Sweetwater couldn't answer for me, but I will say this. I want to give the folks at Sweetwater a big shout out. It's not because they're sponsoring this video, because they are not sponsoring this video. I've asked them to sponsor the videos, and apparently I'm not a big enough deal yet to sponsor these videos, so they're not sponsoring them, but I do owe them a debt of gratitude, because I will say this. Their customer service is second to none. They make right on everything they do. When you spend your money with them, you have a lot of peace of mind in knowing that regardless of what your manufacturer's warranty is, they're going to warranty it on the front end for 2 years and make sure that you have a good experience. They have an inside tech support team that is really helpful, usually. And they're just a great company. I also have a pro tip for you. If you have a sales rep, which if you've ever bought anything from Sweetwater, you do. I think a lot of us, and I did this for a long time, you sort of hide, you run from your sales rep when he calls you to see if you need anything or if he checks in to see how you're doing. The next time you're doing any type of shopping for gear, if you're price shopping, you're trying to figure something out, if you've got a list of things you got to get, maybe you're building out a pedal board. You need to be able to get a bunch of stuff, and you're trying to figure out, do you want to buy it off a reverb? Do you want to buy something with a warranty? How do you want to handle things? Make your list, send it to your rep, ask him to get his pencil sharp, and get you a price if you buy it all in bulk. And you're going to be really surprised at the pricing you get from Sweetwater, because they will cut you some great deals, and their customer service is excellent. So with all that said, let's circle back to what we're talking about here. So here's the issue I had. This is how my rig is set up here. I have a 12-channel XLR snake going into my live room, my drum room, that light way back there in the back. And I've got a 4-channel snake that goes to the back of my house that are tracking guitars and sort of ancillary instruments back there. It's great. I have an ISO cab back there, so if we're tracking live band in here and we're tracking drums, I don't have to worry about guitar bleed or anything into the drum mics, because it's back there in the back. Makes things very convenient for a home studio setup. What I ran into, what I discovered that I hadn't considered, is a lot of the microphones that you're using for recording, they require phantom power. And phantom power is sent through an unbalanced XLR line to a microphone, right? And there is some dissenting opinions on this, so do your research. Don't take this as the gospel, but the research that I did seemed to have two different schools, as things are these days. Seems to be two different teams, two different schools of thought. The first school of thought is never send an unbalanced line that has phantom power into a 1/4-inch TRS input, that it could fry your microphone. It could fry whatever's on the other end, which is your preamp. If the phantom power is turned on the preamp, or the phantom power is turned on your interface, maybe it could destroy your interface. Nobody's got time for this. None of us want this. So that was my big dilemma. It's like, okay, well, how do I get this whole rig jiving together? And what I noticed on several of the Patchbay videos I was watching and looking at people's studios that were using Patchbays is that they had XLR Patchbays. And I thought, I wonder what the XLR Patchbay is for. And after getting off the phone with the folks at Sweetwater, and let me just say, I think it was as much me trying to explain how my rig was set up and what I was trying to do, and that person not being able to be here in the room with me to see what I was doing as much as anything. So I don't want to fully blame her for not giving me the advice that actually ended up solving my problem. But I don't even remember what forum it was. I think it was on a Pro Tools forum that I found the answer to my question. Someone basically posted almost exactly the rig that I'm running, and it made a lot of sense. It was very easy to understand. So I got a 16-channel XLR Patchbay. It's an ARC Patchbay. It again, a little more than $100 and some odd. And the way that I have this set up now is that all of the snakes, both of the snakes, are running into the front of that Patchbay, channels 1 through 16. They're running from there, out of the back of that, they're running into the preamps. So you're going to go snakes into the front of the XLR Patchbay, through, it's a through Patchbay, into the inputs of your microphone preamps. Then out of your microphone preamps, the balanced output, so that's what you need. You need a balanced signal. That balanced signal is then going to go into the top of the normal 1/4 inch TRS Patchbay. And what that's going to do, you're going to go, excuse me, that's going to go in the bottom. I'm already telling you wrong. All the preamps, the outputs go into the bottom of the inputs. Outputs on top, inputs on the bottom. Into the bottom of the TRS Patchbay that's set to normal. And then where do you think the top ones are going? The top ones are going to your interface. All right, we got there. We made it. It really makes things very convenient. Consider this: you're in this room, you're tracking drums, you have it set up. I've got 10 channels going to my drum room. So I've got 10 channels of warm audio, WA273, EQ and non-EQ channels going to my drum room. And they're patched to the front of my sidecar. If I need to change those, I just plug directly. I pull one of those out and I plug into the channel that I'm using because they coincide with the channels on my interface going into the Universal Audio Apollo X16. So I'm using console for all of you Apollo ecosystem guys, and there's a lot of us out there. And yeah, I can mix and match the preamps as I want, and then I use the through Patchbay to patch in, you know, maybe I want to use my distressor, or maybe I want to use an 1176, maybe I want to use some Cappy EQs, who knows, whatever I want to use, but I can do that easily patching in that way. And I found that there's not a lot of info out there if you're looking to not fry your entire system. There is, I guess I told you guys about the one school of thought, which is never send an unbalanced line from XLR to TRS, that it'll fry everything. But then there's another school of old school cats who say, we've been working on consoles forever, sending console outs to 1/4 inch TRS Patchbays literally forever, and it never had an issue. So, you know, proceed with caution. But for me, I wanted to make sure that I was going to be set up and be bulletproof. And by doing this, it really takes a lot of stress off my plate. There's a lot of headache getting there, but it feels good to be there. So that's it. That's what to do when you don't know what to do. I mean, it gets tough sometimes. You're like beating your head against the wall. You feel like your gear should be working, but it's not working. You look for a workaround, and then it's not working. That's more of an argument of why you should consider getting a Patchbay. So if you're at a point now where you're like, I'm currently just recording in the box, but I'm very curious about getting some analog gear, and I don't know that I need a Patchbay, but I would like to be able to work conveniently. Just consider what the investment is. So for, you know, $400 or $500, which isn't a little bit of money, that's a lot of money, but we all know what this landscape looks like on studio gear. It's been a lot of money, but to be able to have grow into a rig where you can start having a hybrid setup, which is exactly what I want to have. I want to be able to have a great hybrid setup. And this is going to afford me to do it. I can easily patch in from the front and back, whether that's XLR microphones, whether I need them in this room, that room, back of my house. I can easily, right there at the desk, patch into them. I can also patch from there into any of my other outboard gear and quickly stay focused, stay creative, and stay on task and not get bogged down with having to walk around the desk. And I mean, for me, that's as much the convenience of not having to stop what you're doing, stop your workflow, stop your process to go around and repatch something. It makes a lot of sense to go this route. So I hope this is helpful for you guys. If you have any kind of insights as to how I have this rig set up or what I've shared, if there's anything that I missed, please drop me a comment. And if this is helpful for you guys, please hit that subscribe button and smash the like button, as they say. Helps with the channel. I appreciate the love. The support is it's asked for and it is appreciated. So that is our video for the day. The next couple of videos are going to be going over a mix that I'm working on. I'm getting real close to my first like real serious mix, and I'm nervous about letting you guys listen to it, but you will be listening to it. And there's going to be some unboxing going on, and then we'll be going through the whole new rig. I've got a new studio tour coming up that I'll be shooting, and I'm excited to share that with you guys. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope everybody's enjoyed this video. And as always, you guys keep being kind to each other and keep doubling down on your dreams. I'm Justin Brogdon. Until next time, peace.